here's the workflow so far. So we have this image, you have all your stuff in here, and we just want to cut out just this top portion of his head. So what I did is I cropped it down to the area where I wanted to cut out his head, and it ended up looking like this. I then just used the quick selection tool to select his head, just a portion of his head, about like right to here. And then I used a lasso tool, and by adding and subtracting, by holding down, the option key to remove pieces from it, and this shift key to add to it, I came out with a relatively decent selection. And you can see right now there's this little line right here. That's because once I had my selection, I switched over to paths, and I clicked on this little button right here, and it converted it to a working path. And you can see if I click on that right now, that's what it does. Basically, it takes the marching ants of the selection and it converts it into a path. At that point, what I do is actually save this image as a PSD, and I also go up to export, file export, and save the paths to Illustrator. When you do that, you just click on work path, where you're going to save it to. Let me just do this, 3. Okay, and then out on your desktop you'll have the PSD and the path saved separately. Then I switch over to Illustrator and I open up both of those files. So this is what the path looks like. You can see by default there's nothing there. It's because there's no stroke on it, no fill. And if I just do a select all, you can see there it is. I'm just going to copy it, so hit Command C, then pop over to the image, the actual image of it, and then paste that image, paste that selection into here, and then line it up just by dragging it, right? So now you could actually see I've already gone ahead and done this. Zoom in, get it just so, line and drag it up just so it's in perfect position. When you create a path out of a selection, it adds a lot of extra crap. So what I did is actually went in here, so you can see with just this regular selection tool, it selects the whole thing. But if I click on the direct selection tool, I can go in and I could actually see the individual anchors. Now what I did is, down here on this path there's probably maybe about 10. I used a combination of the delete anchor path tool to delete them. You can see that's just a minus sign, the keyboard shortcut, and the direct selection, which the keyboard shortcut for that is A. And what that does, it allows you to move individual anchors, and you could also move you could bend these portions of it. So I refined that to get this portion really smooth. And then up here, there's just tons of anchors you can see here. So on his hair, just it made lots of anchors. I actually went in and I started to do a little bit of refining here, but you can see over here, this is what it looks like without the refinements. I'm going to see how that cuts. The last thing I need to do here is, because of the way that the laser cutter works, is to line it up. You need to create an additional path right here that just links up to it. This is going to be basically used as a spacer. So this is the edge of our paper. It's going to cut a little line here, cut all the way around, and we do one at the top as well. So you can see right here, here's that path. And I just use a regular old pen tool. I click on the edge, and then when I drag it down here, it automatically will detect where the other path is and make that line. Select all of those paths, convert it to the color red at 25500, click OK, and then hit save. And then we have this file that can go to the laser cutter. Here's a little gotcha with that, is you actually need to separate these again. So now you need to take this refined path with the additional pieces on it, copy and paste that into a new document the exact same size as this, and then you're going to use that as the cut. So I'm going to take this PSD, I'm going to print this PSD at exactly this size, which I believe is like 9 by 12, and I'm going to print that out, put that print into the laser cutter, and then take my path file, this newly refined path file, bring that into the laser cutter, and cut with that, and it should line up. Fingers crossed.